Hi! London has been in the media quite a bit lately due to what happened in Paris and things a certain wannabe politician in America said, and a few other bits and pieces, and I just thought I would address the question of how safe is London? And it's obviously a difficult question to ask, but I want to make this video pretty subjective because of course you could just go on the internet and look up some statistic on crimes and stuff, but a statistic kind of is just numbers, and I think if you're someone who wants to come to London, be it as a tourist or someone who wants to stay here a bit longer, an experience from someone who lives in London is probably worth more to you than just seeing statistics. Of course, see the statistics too, why not? But I'm just here to share my experiences with you. London is obviously huge. I think Greater London has a population of over 8 million at the moment, and it wouldn't be fair to say that London is this or London is that, because London is so big, it's just, you can't really say London is safe or London is unsafe, because there is no way that a space this big with so many people is the same everywhere, and it's not. From my experience, personally, I have never felt unsafe in London. Of course, I have lived in my fair share of rough areas, the roughest area being Upton Park. Feel free to Google it, it's not great. And I have to say, I did feel a bit weird walking around there when it was dark, and I didn't feel quite as safe, but it wasn't to the point where I was like acutely afraid or anything like that. I think every city has dodgy areas, and I happen to live in one of those dodgy areas. I've lived in 3 other places, and I have to say I've really not felt unsafe ever. If you are a tourist, you may not know the places that are dodgy, etc. So just make sure you stay within main roads or you're with someone else. I wouldn't really advise anyone to walk around London alone if you don't know your way around. I now live in quite the centre. I live in Shoreditch. There's pretty much always people here. Like, I've never walked the streets and there was no one out, so I feel very safe here because it's light, there's people, it feels really safe. And I also have to say, especially now that Paris happened, there's a lot of police presence everywhere in the stations, but even before Paris there's usually always police pretty much everywhere where you go, in public places, because obviously London has a lot of tourist magnets, it has a lot of big venues. We have Wembley Arena, Alexandra Palace, Brixton Academy. There are so many places where something could happen, I guess, but I find it really paranoid almost. I mean, it's really natural to be afraid, especially after something happens so close to us. And I would be lying if I said that I wasn't a bit scared as well, especially because we had a sort of stabbing here the other day really close to where I live, and I was actually on the train that was behind another train that was stuck in the tunnel because of this, and they just kept saying we're being held here due to a passenger incident, and it was actually someone stabbing a few people in a London Underground station, which was later actually counted as a terroristic act, which was quite scary in a way. But then again, I just think it could happen anywhere, and it would be really silly to say, oh, I'm not coming to London because I'm scared. Right now, the chance of a terrorist attack is rated as high, so the risk is really severe that we will have a terroristic attack here in London. But this doesn't really keep me from going anywhere. I'm still going into central London, Oxford Street. I'm still going to the big shopping centres because, again, we don't know what's going to happen. We can just guess. I'm from a sort of, I'm from a major town in Germany, not London. From a major town in Germany, but we have like 200,000 people where I'm from, so like compared to London it's quite small, I would say. And I have to admit, when I first came to London I was a bit worried about it being unsafe, mostly because you just read a lot about stabbings in London and thefts, and it is sort of true. I mean, there's a lot of pickpocketing going around, but I think every tourist city in Europe has that problem. I'm sure if you go to Rome or Paris, there will be pickpockets everywhere, so just be careful with your belongings. And stabbings, well, I do have to say The first few months I lived here, it was a bit scary. Now, most stabbings in London, as far as I know, are gang related, so it's not like crazy people just run around and stab people all the time. It's more like they target specific people from another gang. So you do read it a lot. Like when I lived in Upton Park, it felt like every other week I read about a stabbing in West Ham Park, and you read just a lot about people being found dead in rivers and things like that. But again, you sort of have to look at the amount of people that live in London and the amount of stabbings. It's not like someone gets stabbed every day. It's not really like that. The scariest thing I didn't really witness it, but the scariest thing that almost happened to me is when I moved in a flat in Tottenham, and we went out and we came back around maybe 2 a.m. and the next morning I read in the paper that someone was stabbed right outside our flat about 20 minutes after we got home. So if we had come home a bit later, we would have probably walked right into that stabbing. So that was a bit scary, I have to say. My personal perception is that London is relatively safe if you are not being reckless, if you don't walk around Camden like side roads on your own on a Saturday night, you should be fine. And just be careful, but definitely don't be afraid. It's not like you just get attacked on the streets or anything like that. London, in my books, is still safe. I think you shouldn't really believe the media with what they're saying because it's not true.